Hey everyone, welcome to Amarillo Little Theater's Thursdays at 3. I'm your host, Jason Crespin there. Today's February 17th. So glad that you guys are joining us today. We'll talk all things going on, what's happening at ALT. And we have some amazing guests, three guests from the smash hit production of Cabaret that we'll be talking to today as well. But first up, let's talk about what's going on at ALT this week. Of course, rehearsals are still happening for the great Academy production of Tuck Everlasting. That show is going to be coming down the pike just a little bit over a month. So you're definitely going to want to watch out for tickets when those go on sale, which will be on March 7th for our season ticket holders. And of course, March 14th for our public sales. It's going to be a great show, regional premiere. I know Miss Michaela and her team are working hard on that show. So be on the lookout for that great information for when tickets go on sale. It's going to be a fantastic show for our Academy. Very excited about that. Also, this week we had great auditions for art. It will be the last, of course, play of our Adventure Space series, directed by our very own Alan Schenkels. Fun fact, that was the first play that was done over at the Adventure Space 20 years ago. That Alan was actually in that show. So congrats to everyone who auditioned. Auditions, of course, are always something crazy, scary to happen and to let yourself go and be vulnerable and take risks and all that stuff. So congrats to everyone who came out to audition. We found out the cast list will be posted tomorrow at noon. So very excited about that. So be on the lookout for that cast list tomorrow at noon. Speaking of auditions, just I believe yesterday got posted, or the night before, I believe, we have the audition information for Shrek the musical is on our website. If you haven't checked that out yet, definitely check that out on our homepage. Go ahead and look at under cast lists and auditions. You'll see the Shrek audition information packet. Of course, Shrek audition forms as well. Be sure to look. We have a ton of information up on that website. Tons of information for Shrek auditions. They're going to be a little bit different this time around. You know, with COVID still going on and different things like that, we're kind of restructuring the auditions for this musical. So be on the lookout for that. You'll have to sign up for a slot. Anyway, check out all the information for Shrek auditions that will be happening the 6th, 7th, or 8th of March, coming around the corner, about 2 weeks. Looking ahead, also, we want to remind you that our box office will be closed on Monday. That's this coming Monday, the 21st, for the holiday. So in case you were coming by to swing by and give us all, great big hugs and lunch and breakfast and all the things, don't do it Monday. Wait for Tuesday because no one's going to be here on that Monday. So be aware of that as well. And then, of course, we always want to thank the Royal Bar. As you guys are out and about, check out the Royal Bar. They have that specialty cocktail, which is called Fire and Ice. You can just get it for 2 more weeks. Some of those proceeds come back and sponsor ALT events and different things like that. So go check out the Royal Bar here in Wolflin, the Palace in Wolflin. It's a great drink. We always appreciate that as well. And then, of course, we want to thank everyone who attended the Cabaret experience. If you did not get to attend the Cabaret experience, man, was it a fantastic 2 nights of entertainment and just great food, great music. The aerial list was fantastic, of course. And then paired with the wonderful performance of Cabaret. We want to send a huge shout out to the committee, everyone who helped volunteer, who helped serve or put up or take down of the event. And then, of course, thank you guys for attending. If you got to attend the event, we've been getting some great positive responses back about the event and the show itself. So huge triumph for the theater. We want to thank everyone involved for that. It was a brainchild of course, Alan Schenkels. And so we're really appreciative that everyone was able to see his kind of idea come to fruition with this event. It was a huge financial and artistic success for the theater. So we're very thankful for all of you and the cast members in the show who helped volunteer beforehand as well, serving drinks and all those things. We're asking a lot from our cast right now, and they're doing it, and man, they're doing awesome. So we appreciate that. Speaking of volunteers, I checked with our volunteer coordinator, Miss Alyssa, and also Miss Joe in our box office, and we found out that we need some help. So if you can help work concession, we need 2 concession workers for this coming Saturday around 9:15, and 1 more concession worker for Sunday at about 3:30 for Cabaret. Give us a call at the box office, 355-9991, if you can help. We'll still also need some help the following weekend, the 25th and 26th. But these needs are the most important needs right now since they are this coming weekend. So if you can help out this Saturday, we're looking for 2 concession workers starting at 9:15, and then 1 concession worker for Sunday at 3:30. Let's say you're coming to one of those shows and you're like, well, I can help. I just can't help set up. Let us know. Give us a call. Say, I can work concession because I'm seeing that show. I just can't help set up or anything like that. We would still gladly put you to work and greatly appreciate your volunteer hour if you can. So help us out if you get a chance. Check your schedule. Call the box office. Let us know. Also, we want to let you guys know something different for this coming weekend. On this coming Sunday, that will be, of course, Sunday the 20th. Sunday the 20th. After that matinee of Sunday the 20th, we are going to have a talk back with the cast and production team of the show. So this talk back is going to be fantastic. A great event starting about 5-ish. The show wraps up basically around 5. So we'll let people grab a cup of coffee or anything like that and come back into the theater. But it's a great time for Alan as the director and our music director, Jennifer Akins, and Sean Walsh, who is, of course, our choreographer, and any of the other production team members, as well as the cast and crew, to be able to talk to the audience, maybe answer some great questions that you might have. This show is kind of leads the audience in a different way than most. So you might want to ask, Alan, why he went that way with the show, or different aspects, or just kind of, you might just need some time to process more events. I'm not telling anybody anything. Alan's right here saying he's not going to tell anyone anything. He's just going to say, here's the show. So if you have any questions, if you do not have to attend that Sunday show, if you've come to the previous 3 weekends of the performance, but you want to attend the talk back, come back to the Adventure Space around a little bit before 5-ish, and we will get you guys kind of in the lobby there. And then once everyone has left who does not want to stay for the lobby, we'll get you guys in to sit down and all that good stuff. But it's going to be a great event. So if you want to be a part of the Cabaret Talk Back experience, come on by this coming Sunday starting around 5 o'clock. It's going to be, I can tell already, a great event for anyone who has seen the show and wants to talk about it and maybe ask a question or two of the cast members or the production team. So mark your calendars for that. Okay, guys, it's my pleasure. Now we're going to bring on our fabulous guests. All 3 of them are just blowing it out of the water on stage. They've, of course, done numerous shows for the theater in the past. But for some reason, this show is just highlighting their talents even more so. Let's go ahead and bring on Terry Martin, Jacob Miller, and Miss Jo Smith. How are y'all?
Great.
Terry's still on mute.
Sorry.
So close, Terry. So close. Yeah. Right. No, yeah. You're good. You guys are doing, gosh, so much already, I know, with your own kind of just life in general, but then now, throw in Cabaret and even more performances and experiences and talkbacks and, working all the things. I'm sure you guys have been very grateful for the past couple of days of rest. Hopefully you guys have had some good rest the past couple of days. First off, let's remind everyone who you are and what do you do other than ALT? Let's start with Terry. Terry, who are you?
I'm Terry Martin. I am a mom of a 10-month-old. She turned 10 months yesterday.
Wow.
Yep. And I'm an art teacher, teach art, and I'm an artist myself. So that's me.
Yeah. Jo, of course, you have a lot with ALT.
Yes, I do ALT, and then I do ALT. This morning my physical therapist said, it's one of those, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. Some days it's work, but
yeah, there are definitely days when it's work, for sure. For sure. Jacob, remind us what you do.
I am the associate pastor at First Christian.
How long have you been there now?
5 years.
5 years. And Jo, remind me, how long have you now? 5 years this month. That's great. And then Jo, remind us, how long have you been on staff at ALT?
10 years.
10 years. So crazy to think about. I love that.
Yeah.
So let's, for those people who may not have seen the show yet or anything like that, Terry, of course, you play Sally Bowles, and we'll go into more of character development and all those things here in a little bit. Joe Smith, you play Fraulein Schneider, who's kind of the tenant or the landlord, if you will, of this kind of apartment complex. And then Jacob, you play Herr Schultz, who is a tenant in the building and is a fruit seller. Basically, has a fruit shop and sells some fruit to in the show and different things like that. Let's first talk about this show. Obviously, I'm sure all three of you were aware of this show beforehand. Terry will go into your past with the show as well. But was it something that was on your radar that you wanted to audition for right away, or was it something that you kind of thought about a little bit more? What made you guys want to audition for this piece?
I wanted to do Cabaret. I was interested in doing a Fosse piece. I hadn't done one for a long time, and then I don't get to dance. So
So true. It's so true. You're probably one. There's not that many characters that don't dance. So there's not, just a handful of you guys for sure. And
yeah,
then
and
Joe,
I
of
tried
course, we
dancing
saw
in
you.
my numbers, and I was told to pull it back. So
Well, and we saw you, of course, early season Calendar Girls, and so you had a busy year and then getting to be. My internet might be low. Jacob, yes.
Yeah.
Jacob, what made you want to audition?
Well, this show actually wasn't on my original radar, but I knew it and I liked it. What are y'all laughing at?
Because it was me.
Yeah, it was
I
Terry. Right. Wait, I don't know how to do. There we go. Yeah, I wasn't going to audition, and then Terry texted me, and I told her no, and then a week later she texted me again, and I said maybe, and then a week later she texted me again, so I was like, fine.
Happened.
That's hilarious. I love that. P.S. Joe Dylan says you guys dance for a second.
That's true.
Ooh, that's yes. Damn.
Kelly also says my favorite people. Very sweet,
Aw.
Kelly. Terry, what about you? What made you think about auditioning for this show?
I mean, obviously, yes. I was around when we did it the first time 2 years ago. For those who have not heard the story, I changed batteries and mic packs, and back then we did not have the wonderful mics that we have now. And a lot of times they would go out mid-show, or something would go wrong, and my dad would be running sound, and I would have to run backstage and change them out. So I've always loved the show and wanted to be in it at that time, but I was a little too young. And I actually, when we first found out that we were doing Cabaret, I actually didn't think I could do it because I just had my daughter, and I was like, first time mom, I was like, no way am I doing that. But then the closer we came, I was like, I really want to do it. It's a bucket list. So we did it.
Well, and your daughter is pretty much at a good age because she pretty much goes to sleep, right when rehearsals are starting.
And like when it first came out that we were doing this show, that was not the case. I was sleeping like 2 hours a night, and I was like, no way can I do a show, even audition, just see what happens. I was like, that's crazy. And then, yes, we kind of slowly got on a schedule and routine. And David was, of course, my husband, David, was super supportive and said, I think you should do it. So yeah, she goes down to sleep at like 7. She's actually asleep right now, I think, for her nap. So she'll probably be quiet. But so yeah, I haven't had to miss a lot of time with her. So that's been nice.
That's good. And because people might not know, I mean, it's a huge commitment to come, to say you're going to come do a show with timing. Monday through Thursdays are usually the rehearsal time period for blocking of scenes, and then sometimes, of course, weekends with dance rehearsals and things like that. So it can be a big commitment for sure when you're a part of a show at ALT, and then when it takes off and you add weekends and you add events and things like that, it's kind of like, oh, it's a lot. We are about to go into our 5th weekend in a row of live theater at ALT because we had 2 weekends of Murder on the Orient Express, and now going into our third weekend of Cabaret, which is great. It's great. But after a while, it's like, whew, it's a lot. It's a lot to ask, of course, of our volunteers and our staff, but everyone is just definitely stepping up and doing a great job with it. I know Terry and Joe, of course, you've had a longer history with the theater. Jacob, though, you've been around for several years now as well. I kind of wanted just a reminder for all of our viewers, what was your first kind of experience with ALT, and what was your first show with ALT? Let's start with you, Jacob, since you're kind of a little bit in the newer realm, if you will. But I know you, of course, were in Lubbock and had heard about ALT and different things like that. And then when you moved here, did you see a show first, or were you a part of a show first?
I saw Anything Goes before I did anything. And then I wanted to audition, and I was very, very, very nervous. So Jennifer said, why don't you come play auditions for Mary Poppins so you can see how it works? So I came and played the Mary Poppins auditions. And then that winter, I auditioned for I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. And that was my first musical.
Which I think is fun that you were a part of ALT before you really, auditioned, kind of got your feet wet and got to know people and kind of see how everything went with that musicals and different things like that. Because I definitely remember meeting you during Mary Poppins and I was like, this guy's talented, man. And then when we heard you sing, I was like, oh, okay, he's really talented. I thought he was just like regular talented, and then he like sang and was like, oh, okay, never mind. He's off the chart talented. That's awesome. Joe, what about you?
Well, I also started with Anything Goes, but it was in 1990 when I auditioned for my first show at ALT and was in Anything Goes the first time. Not the same one that Jacob saw.
Right, yeah. And were you
volunteered?
Was that your? I was gonna say, did you see shows before then, or were you, did you know
I had
ALT
just
before
moved
that?
to town. I did Texas that summer of 1990, and then stayed in town, auditioned for Anything Goes, and have been trapped in this little ALT circle since.
Yeah. Well, and to think, I mean, your daughter grew up in the academy. You were an academy parent, of course, now working at ALT as well for the past 10 years. So yeah, you've been part of ALT for quite some time, which is great.
32 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's absolutely amazing. Your fellow coworker says, oops, there it is. Listen, yep, fifth weekend. This is working so hard. I know. Yeah, we're like, yeah, fifth weekend in a row of live theater at ALT. I love it. Terry, what about you? You had no choice to become part of ALT.
Yeah, my parents did ALT when I was a kid. They did a few shows and then quickly got me into the academy. And my first show with the academy was Music Man. And then my first show at the main stage, which is a big deal when you're in the academy. If you don't know that, for academy kids, it's like, you're like, well, my first academy show is this, but my first main stage shows. Anyway, so my first main stage show was with Alan it was Big River. Yeah. And for a while, Jason and I had a little thing going. I only got cast in shows that started
on the main stage.
On the main stage. Academy is different. Main stage, they only started with a B for a while. And so then when I would audition,
Big River, Buddy, Bryant Beach Memoirs.
And then we were like, Boki Joe's Cafe. We were trying to start with a B.
When Chicago auditions were happening the first time, we were like, Chicago. It's called Chicago. You'll be fine. Yeah.
I'll be fine. Yeah.
The original show was called Boston. You'll be fine. You'll be okay.
Yeah. But yeah, been around for a little bit.
Yeah. And so what with all of that history that you guys have, especially, being a part of the theater for such a long time, and then of course Jacob for being a part of ALT the past couple of years now, what is different do you think about Cabaret, or what made this one a little bit more special to be a part of, do you think, or to audition for, to be anything, to sweep the floors and to help if you needed to change batteries again? Like what makes this Cabaret a little bit different, do you think, than all the others?
I was just gonna say, I've always loved the story, is that you think that you're kind of getting one thing at the beginning, and then it kind of takes you in, and then by the end you're just, as an audience member, you just dumbfounded about how you got there. I've always just thought that was magical, the way that the show does that.
Sure. Jacob, Joe?
I was interested when I read the script again because I had forgotten how relevant it is ongoing, just how relevant the idea of people constantly making decisions that you can't quite understand because you haven't walked a mile in their shoes. And the fact that theme just keeps coming up over and over and over again everywhere you look. And I had forgotten that about this show. I had forgotten that it had such relevance now because of those things. And it was exciting to be a part of that and to try and be a part of that. So
yeah. What about you, Jacob?
Well, it's just been exciting this go around. Just so many talented people involved in this show, and the dancing. I think some of the best dancing I've ever seen at an ALT show. Now I've only been involved for 5 years, but it's some spectacular dancing and acting. It's just a very strong show.
Agreed. I was trying to think. I know, obviously, Jacob, you were in I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. Joe, you've done, The Birds. You've done It's Only a Play Over at the Adventure Space. Different shows like that. But Terry, is this your first Adventure Space as an adult?
Yes.
I literally just realized that just before we went live. I was like, I don't think Terry. I was trying to think of all the shows you've done, but this is your first Adventure Space as an adult. I know.
Who's Carla? I was like, wait, because she was telling us where to park, I guess. And I was like, wait, where do we park? What's happening? And she was like, what? Like, why are you asking this? I was like, I've never done a show at the Adventure Space. I don't know what's going on. And like the dressing room situation, I was like, wait, there's a dressing room up there? I was like, I didn't know that. Like, I haven't done one. I've only been main stage,
That's so crazy. Which I think it was.
You can't take
it with you. Which was like maybe also the first year of ALT back in the day, kind of a thing when junior company, we didn't even have a senior company.
Right.
Junior company did like a showcase show and that was the show. I was thinking that blew my mind that it took me this long to realize that this is your first Adventure Space debut, if you will. Yeah.
It was my first time to audition for an Adventure Space show too. I'd never had auditions at the Adventure Space.
Wow. Yeah. Cindy says, can't wait to see the show on Sunday. She says it's been great shows this whole year. I agreed, Cindy. We've had some great shows. Of course, Jacob was a part of an earlier show this season as well with The Sound of Music. And of course, Joe, we already said with Calendar Girls.
I'm fighting the Nazis all season, Jason.
Right, yes, exactly. So true. Carla says, some of my favorite humans. So excited to see y'all tonight. Oh, we can't wait to see you as well, Miss Carla. Terry, with this show, with being at the Adventure Space, how does it feel being that close to the audience?
It took some getting used to, because like I said, I remember it being that close, but with this show it's different because we get to interact with the audience a little bit in some scenes and we get to be down there. And so it was, the first couple of nights with a live audience and being that close with them and getting their reactions was something I'd never.
I mean, they're right there to say, you can hear everything and anything that they say, or a phone goes off, or a drink is spilled, or whatever.
Or even just their reaction, like if I'm singing to them and they laugh or something, or they don't, or they're like looking at me like, I just have to keep going. And that was something we talked about with Jacob and Joe, is that you guys don't, like, you can still have the fourth wall the whole time.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think it seems to be that we're further back, or at least it seems to be that way than, like, for Fun Home, it seemed like there were 3 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, I could not help but see people because we were so close. But in Cabaret, it seems like we're a bit further back.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and to think about too, with this show, I mean, there's, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, there's some scenes, of course, that take place in the cabaret, and then scenes that do not take place in the cabaret. And those scenes that are in the cabaret, I mean, the audience is the audience of the cabaret. They are a part of the show, basically. And so, very true with the scenes that, especially Joe and Jacob, that you guys have. You can kind of have that distance if you needed to, because you're not having to worry about acknowledging the audience that is watching. I mean, Terry, you have to acknowledge the audience, especially, in Act 1. For those people who may not know anything, and there's our fearless leader there, Mr. Alan Shangles. No,
I'm leaving right now.
you're good. He's got to go get things ready for the show tonight. For those of us who may be coming this coming weekend or the fourth weekend, but maybe who don't know anything about Cabaret, let's start with Joe. Joe, tell us what is Cabaret in your words, without, of course, anything giving too much away. But for example, when people call the box office and they say, "What's Cabaret?" What would you tell them?
I tell them that it's a story of 1929, pre-World War II Germany, and just a story about how people survive, and how different circumstances affect different people in different ways, and how they handle those things is going to vary according to what else they have going on in their lives. People making tough decisions every day to survive, and how, like I said earlier, how if you haven't walked a mile in someone's shoes, you don't really have any leg to make any sort of a judgment about why they make decisions that they make. And that's kind of the nutshell of the show for me.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Jacob, Terry, anything you guys want to add to that?
I definitely agree that I feel like our characters even have some parallels that we found, and even though they're so drastically different, but through that very thing that you just said, they're both just trying to survive a rough situation. I play Sally Bowles, who is a cabaret performer, and she, not giving too much away, but she is kind of on her way out, and she needs a place to stay, and she meets Cliff Bradshaw, who is a novelist, an American novelist, and tries to develop, they start a relationship, and she tries to live with him for a little bit to help survive. And then, of course, they learn from each other and they go through some things.
Yeah. Do they ever? They go through things. Very true. Very true. Of course, Chrisella has taken some great, there's Sally Bowles there at the Kit Kat Club with all the Kit Kat Club performers. Some great photos. So fun. We, of course, there's this great photo of you, Joe and Jacob. A sweet moment. I wanted to ask Jacob and Joe, your characters, you guys have, your own storyline basically within the show as well, but you guys also help provide some great humor in the show, some levity in moments. What does that feel like whenever you can kind of at least uplift the show a little bit? I mean, you do break people's hearts later on in the show, I feel, but what about those situations where you do have a little more comedic moments? How does that feel with such a dark show?
Well, I love it. I think it is so much fun. And particularly, I tend to play darker, meaner characters. And so this has been, I think it's a lot of fun to play the sweet comedic character. So
I don't know what you mean dark when you have shows of like Sweeney Todd and
Unhome,
Captain Von Trapp, like the I love that. Hilarious.
It is fun.
I was gonna say, Joe, what do you think? Yeah. How I mean, because people do need that in this show. They need to kind of have some moments to breathe and laugh and then get sucked back into what's really happening,
Well, our characters kind of are the everyman. They're the ones that people are going to relate to because we're clothed the whole show. So
Yes.
so people will be like, that's us, that's me. I'm not that girl over there with the things showing, but people will relate to us and they will be glad to have a laugh at our expense because there's so much other
I only wear the fishnets
that they have
in
to
the
worry
second act.
about in the show.
Right, I love that. Yeah. Jacob's wearing the lingerie under the clothes. That's what it is. Right. Yeah.
Yes. But they don't see it, so they're good with that.
I love that. The fourth weekend, that's when we'll see more. One of your fellow cast members, Jonathan Mobley, says, Joe, I hadn't thought about it the way you expressed it. I love that. Speaking of another cast member, Grayson says, Jacob is hilarious in the show. Some of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
Love that. It's true though. There's some beautiful performances turned in by the whole cast. Oh my gosh. And I think everyone has a moment to shine and have their moment for sure on stage. With this show, we've had, people like Terry and Joe who've been a part of ALT for a long time, Jacob who've been a part of ALT for 5 years and has had, big roles, but also we've had some brand new people, some newcomers that are making their ALT debut as a whole. We have some people who have maybe done 1 or 2 shows that are now playing a lead. And what's that like? What's that like for you guys when you stand in Magic Circle and see everyone who, it takes a lot of people to make this show happen, and everyone is so important with this show, from Lissa, who's working box office, who then runs and does Act 1 crew while also going through all of the dances because she's the understudy, the swing, if you will, to Corey Wade, who's brand new and doing spot up on the catwalk, if you will, to then of course our seasoned performers. What's that like for you guys? What does that mean to y'all?
It's so great. And the biggest thing we want is to be like, stay right here. Stay right here.
I was about to say
here in the fold. Stay here with us because, we're so thrilled with the new faces and the people who going through the rehearsal process when it was hard. And if you've never done a show, especially something like this, you have no idea how incredibly difficult the weeks and weeks before you get an audience are. They can be so, like, you think you're bleeding, kind of painful.
Yeah.
And to make people go into the fold enough that they don't just totally give up before they get to feel the good stuff. And it feels like everybody is like ready now. They're ready to do another show. They're ready to audition again. It's wonderful to have some of those same people who were terrified that they had made the worst decision of their lives and now are hooked. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was gonna say they're all family now. It's a done deal. We've made sure of it. We've hooked them, all of them. All those long dance rehearsals are over.
For sure. Well, and to experience this show it's definitely, something that I think that all of you have gone through spiritually, and you've gone through emotionally, and you've gone through with just the aspect and the seriousness and the heaviness of the show. And so I think that gets you guys a little bit closer than just maybe a regular show where, you're having your fellow friends and new people up on stage with you. Jacob, what about you? With you, being new the past 5 years, you've been the newcomer and then now you're not the newcomer. How does that feel still then being like, oh, I can still help welcome these new people? How does that feel being on the other side of things now?
It feels good. I've always loved the community aspect and the family aspect of ALT. And that's one of the things that keeps me coming back all the time, is for that familial aspect. It's a nice feeling to feel like you are now part of the family and getting to welcome in the new. It feels nice to not be the new person anymore, if that sounds kind of funny, but you understand what I'm saying. And so it's pleasurable. And so, I was going to say earlier when we were talking about with all the people involved with the show, a lot of people don't realize backstage there are so many people running around with props and furniture and changing clothes and costumers. And so the audience doesn't realize just the vast amount of people behind the scenes. I mean, it's not quiet on the other side of the curtain. As something's going on stage, there's equal stuff going on right behind the curtain.
For sure.
And all actors are helping each other out as well, which I always think is great. You know what I mean? There's Kit Kat Club people that are helping, get into an animal costume, and then there's people that are running around moving chairs, and there's opening. I mean, everyone is helping everyone out.
Nels seriously comes on stage, says a line, helps me run around the stage while I throw stuff at him as I'm quick changing, and then grabs the Chase Lounge to put it on stage, and then does the scene.
yeah.
That's what he does. And I'm like, and that's theater. So
it's so true. It's so true.
That's what makes me that funny, that you're talking about.
One of your new ALT, one of our new amazing performers has commented, our amazing Aspen says, this has been the most amazing experience to be a part of. Love the ALT fam. We love you too, Miss Aspen.
We love you.
Yeah, killing it. It's so funny because when I knew Aspen from with Carol. She had done some, I think, opera stuff with Carol Colson, who had done shows before she moved. And so I was kind of knew that Aspen could sing, and then I saw her dance, and I'm like, Aspen, I had no clue you could also dance. Like it's like Jacob finding out that the piano player can sing. What? I'm so excited. I love having those little discoveries for sure. Yeah. With this show, I mean, you guys are making ALT history next weekend when we add the 4th weekend of performances that Friday and Saturday that are, of course, already completely sold out as well. How does that feel, being a part of ALT history? The show, a lot of things are historic with this show. 20 years ago, a different cast gathered together. Terry was there changing out microphones, but a different cast gathered together under Alan, of course. 20 years later, different, same show, but different, view and different time of life and things that are going on. So it's historic in that nature, of course. Alan, it's kind of big, last, huge musical beat to direct for ALT before going on into art, if you will. But with all of those elements of historic, adding them on, a 4th weekend, like, what does that feel? Do you guys feel like the pressure on your shoulders, or are you just excited that you're able to be a part of it all?
I think the pressure now is kind of, it's still there, but just gratitude. I mean, Alan said it the other day in Magic Circle. He was like, we are truly blessed. I mean, what we say, and don't forget it. Not everyone gets to go do this every day. And there were obviously very recent times where, live theater was not a thing. But even so, not everyone gets to do what we do.
Yeah.
Place like ALT. So just grateful. It's so cool that we get to do it together and that we're here.
Yeah. Joe, what were you going to say?
I just said excited to be able to do it for one more weekend and share the story with another 300 people. Mm-hmm. And some people, again, we've had lots of repeat audience members for this show, but very, very grateful to be able to continue to tell people the story of these amazing humans and their lives.
Yeah, very true. Very true. David Martin says, everyone is knocking this out of the park. So proud of you, Terry. I love that. With of course the characters that you guys have all developed, I want to ask a little bit of a personal question. Like, how do you each discover your character? How do you find how to bring your version of the character to life on the ALT stage? What research do you go through, or what kind of techniques maybe do you do because all 3 of you, your performances are phenomenal. So I just kind of want to know your method about, of course, you get direction from Alan and stuff like that, but what do you bring to the table that helps establish your character? We'll start with Jacob.
I'm a big researcher and also a video watcher. And so I've mentioned that several times on other Thursdays at 3. I like to read the source material, the book that the plays originated on, and watch other past performances and seeing what other great actors have brought to the role, and just reading the script. And Joe had mentioned it at the beginning of this process, but it had been first explained to me when I did Little Women. With Callie Hissick directed that. And she said, you're going to discover your character throughout the rehearsal process. And I really hadn't ever thought about it that way. I thought you had to come in day one with it all planned out. And so that's helped a lot for Cabaret, because I think Schultz is definitely different now than he was 6 weeks ago. And so you just kind of discover your character, and then of course all my scenes are with Joe, so that helps seeing what she's doing and what she's bringing to it as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love how a character will evolve in the rehearsal. Very, very true. What about you, Joe?
Well, Jacob just gave part of my secret. Don't ever come in with a preconceived character. No, that's part of my process that seems to be different than a lot of people, is that I do come in just with the information that's on the page of the script. And I'm one of those people who does not watch old shows. I try not to listen to or get any information from old performances, just because I don't want to fall into the trap of a mimic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just read the script, and I find the things in the human that are relatable to me as a human, the things that some of the same information that we might share. And then I evolve through the process with my other characters, because Schneider is going to be different for Jacob's Schultz than if Jason Crespin had been Schultz, because they're not going to be the same Schultz. Two different
Right.
actors are going to bring a different Schultz. And so that's how in my process, how I discover the character is how all the people around you interact with you.
Mm-hmm.
That informs you who you are. And a lot of that is in the lines, but so much is not in the lines. It's the relationships that you develop on stage as you learn the lines and get to know the people a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love that. I love that.
That's where Schneider came from.
Yeah. What about you, Terry?
Well, for this show, I actually, Dylan and I met with Alan early on and just wanted to kind of just talk kind of outside of rehearsal, just discuss the characters. And, we talked about, and Jason, you've taught us this as well, that, really thinking about overall, what does your character want? And then within each scene, what does your character want? What's their motivation, but what do they want? I think what's hard about this show, or Sally for me, kind of goes back to what Joe was saying earlier, that you can't really judge them if you haven't walked a mile in their shoes. And, Sally makes some choices that I necessarily wouldn't make, she's made choices that I necessarily wouldn't make, or she's in a scenario that I necessarily wouldn't be in. But you have to get to the point where you understand deep down why they're making those choices, so you don't judge them. And that was really, really hard for me with Sally, because I wanted her to come off authentically and, from a pure place. And I knew I had to get over judging her and who she is. And I feel like with Joe's help, actually, I can't give it away or anything, but she helped me do that throughout the show.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, and the show, I think, also has such a distinct aspect of the shift of power, because at any point somebody might have the power and then they lose the power, or the power is taken from them, or the power is given to somebody else. Or, each of you have a situation where you are in power. You're the person in control of the scene, basically, but then something might come about, or something might, happen, or your cards are revealed a little bit and you don't have as much power. The person that you're yelling at, because of what she's doing, she then starts judging you because she thinks you're doing the same thing, or different scenarios like that. And so yeah, I mean, and then of course the whole power shift of what's going on in the world at that time as well. But I think you guys are all nailing those little beats, and it's coming across tenfold in your performances for sure. Matthew Green, one of our ALT volunteers who saw the show this past weekend, says, definitely the best show I have seen at ALT. So glad y'all added shows. Willis, who is your backstage just boss. I love him. Willis says, love you all. We love you too, Willis. And then a blast from the past. Jenny Robertson Baker says, watching this and realizing that Jason, Terry, and Joe were all in the Fantastics together. How many years ago was that? When we did the Fantastics, I can tell you that show was 28? No, not 28. No, because that would make me 10. It was 18 years ago. 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Lord of money. Because I was not of age to drink in that show. Yeah, so that was a long, long time ago. But for those of you who may not know, the Fantastics was one of our favorite shows that we've done. Joe played, not Patrick's mom. That's right.
Played Huckabee.
Huckabee, yeah. And then Terry was the girl. Patrick was the boy. I was like the narrator who caused a little trouble. But it's a show that we've all talked about how we would love to revisit at some point in our lives for sure. But yeah. Jacob, did you ever play the Fantastics or do the Fantastics?
Music directed it probably a decade ago.
Nice. Yeah, it's a fun show. For you guys also with this show and I mean, I know you guys have things that you guys love personally in your own scenes, but again, not giving too much away. What are your favorite aspects of this show? Maybe a favorite music number or a favorite moment of the show or favorite scene. I'm going to ask that you're not involved in. What's a part of the show that you're just like, I love this. I loved watching it in rehearsals. If I can, when I'm done changing, if I can kind of listen in or peek out or whatever. What are some aspects of the show that you absolutely love?
Well, technically I'm in the background, but I'm not in it. I mean, it's not about me. Joe's song in Act 2, from early on, it gets me every night. So, and I love watching her do her thing.
Yeah.
I would have to say that the dance numbers, like Money, Money, Money is probably one of my favorite numbers. And I'm not in any scenes with the Kit Kat girls. And so I wish I was in at least one.
Or boys, Kit Kat boys as well.
Or boys, Kit Kat girls or boys. I wish I was at least in one scene with them, but I'm in awe of how freakishly talented they are.
I feel like we should do some sort of mashup with like Money from Cabaret and Money, Money, Money from Mamma Mia, and just make it this like acid trip of like a disco number. It would be great. We'll work on that.
I do wish we could do I wish we'd have a mashup of all of the cabaret dances, just like one right after another. Sell it for a workout video or something.
Oh yes, agreed. Get your chair and a 5, 6, 7.
I always stand back and listen to Money, so that's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I love the dance numbers, but I love Wilkeman, and I love hearing the audience when it's over and they're like, "Yes, we're so excited about what's about to happen."
Yeah, exactly. They're all in. Jacob, one of your fellow cast members, Grayson, says Jacob can play a Kit Kat boy for the 5th weekend. So generous of you there, Grayson.
Well, I told Dakota if he wants to flip out on 2 ladies one night, I'd be happy to do that.
You'd be ready to go in.
I do want to say that I don't care much is my favorite scene in the show.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a cool concept for that number for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. I should show.
That was fortuitous timing that you put that picture up right.
I know, right? Thank you. Right. Well, I'm pretty handy when it comes to these photos every now and then. That of course was the Money number there. And yeah, I agree. I think the performances. Sean Walsh has done a phenomenal job with the choreography, the lighting. Greg Dunlap, who's done the lighting of the show, it's just so well lit. And in all aspects of this set and things like that for sure. As you guys are going into this 3rd weekend and then gearing up for a talk back on Sunday, but then of course the final 2 performances next weekend, What still are you hoping audiences take away from the show? You know, we have some people who, like Joe said, who are coming back to the cabaret tonight. In fact, we have some people who, you know, saw the show, you know, already. But what are you hoping audiences take away when they come see the show?
I mean, I think anytime that we can suspend their belief for a second and just make them stop and think, then that's a good thing. We're doing our job. You know, make them kind of forget about their own world and get lost, and then kind of have to go back out into their world and take what they learned and, you know, apply it. I think we're good. So,
yeah, Joe, Jacob.
Well, I want everyone to remember at the end of the show when someone says, "Where are your troubles now?" And what that means when you hear that statement in context of the show. That's what I want people to remember.
Yeah.
Where are your troubles now? For all the reasons.
Sure. Yeah. What about you, Jacob?
Well, I think one of the great themes of the show is acceptance and tolerance. And so, and as Terry alluded to earlier, without judging these characters, because we don't know what they've been through or where they've gone. And so hopefully if you'd watch this musical, that would gain some perspective.
Agreed. Sarah Walsh says, Peyton and I definitely experienced the magic of theater with this show. Bravo to the entire cast and crew. I love that. Yeah, I love that, Sarah. Thank you so much and also for sharing that with Peyton. I mean, sometimes it's hard to figure out, you know, if it's a show and, you know, it is a rated R show. We want to make sure everyone knows it's a rated R show with the themes and some of the language and moments of the show. But there's times where, you know, this is a show that yes, you know, people should really get to see and think that, you know, they'll be, of course, entertained and educated and enlightened, but also I think just kind of encouraged to think about what they believe in, what they, you know, and think, oh, maybe not following what someone is telling me to do all the time is the best thing. I need to really look at the values of everything. And is it really truly something that I want to be a part of and want to believe in? And that's hard for sure. So it's a beautiful show. I mean, I cannot tell you how great it is to be a part of live theater, like Terry was saying, but to be a part of this show. You know, I'm the lucky one that gets to be in the lobby as people are coming in and excited, and as they're leaving. I mean, they're two different people when they walk into the building and when they leave the building. And for me to be able to witness that firsthand is just the effects of what great theater can do. We of course want to thank Alan Shingles, who is the artistic director for this performance, Jennifer Akins, of course, music director, Sean Walsh, choreographer, Anne Langford, assistant director, production assistant, Carla Fristo, assistant choreographer, Lissa Garion, and costumes designed by Dakota Warren and coordinated by Miss Kalina Knight. The whole team, all of those aspects, Greg Dunlap with the set and lighting design, even Tana Robertson throwing in her little 2 cents here and there, helping with different aspects of the show. It takes a whole team, and for you three, you know, to volunteer your time and energy along with the whole cast and crew. We're very appreciative of it at ALT. I know our patrons are appreciative of the story you're telling as well. And so it's going to be another great weekend of live theater. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, whew, I'm tired already just, you know, thinking about all we have to get done. But then once you get to the theater, it's like, oh yeah, this is what we're doing. We get so excited when you see the new people like Duffy Tidwell there on a working from you.
Oh, we love you, Duff.
Part of ALT, which is super, super fun. Cindy says it best, takes a village. It's very true. It takes a village. Very true. Well, the village is being led by amazing people, and you three are some of those amazing people as well. Thank you for giving up your time this afternoon to be a part of Thursdays at 3. Those of you who are watching, man, I really want to come see this show. Sadly, it is sold out. However, we want you guys to know that We have performances starting back up tonight, Thursday at 7:30, Friday and Saturday at 8 o'clock, Sunday at 2:30 p.m. A reminder, after the Sunday show, about 5 o'clock, we will have a talk back with the cast and production team for that show. It's going to be a great talk back starting this coming Sunday about 5-ish. If you do not have tickets for the show, yes, you can get on a wait list, but really the best option is to show up 1 hour before the show and get on what's called the standby list. Okay, so an hour before every showtime, come to the ALT Adventure Space box office. I don't think I have a banner for that, but 2751 Civic Circle. Get on the standby list. Go Palace, grab a cup of coffee, come back. Basically, any tickets that get turned back into the box office, we can then get out into that standby list. Or sometimes we just, it's 2:32 and we have 3 seats still open and no one's coming in, so we're gonna lock the doors and sell those seats to those 3 people on the standby list just to get them in. So come if you want to come to Cabaret, come get on that standby list, and we will do everything in our power to get you guys into the show. We'll leave you on a fun note. Dakota Warren says, "How did Sally's hair grow so fast?" I love that. It does. It's like, wait, oh yeah, we forgot, Terry, that you actually did.
I said that exact same thing to Terry before we started. That I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm just so not used to seeing her hair down.
And now we know what she's going to be doing the next 2 hours.
I was about to say, in fact, I gotta go.
Yeah, you gotta go get ready for the show. I love it. Well, we'll let you go, guys, get ready. Yeah, Joe has a hat on for a reason to cover up her curls.
I just do a nice little buff.
Jacob goes to the car wash with the convertible top down, and he's ready to go for the show. I love it. Well, I love you 3, and I love you guys so much. Your performances are phenomenal.
Love you.
Break a leg again. I'll see you guys tonight. Those of you again who are hoping to come to the Cabaret, come see it. We have this great kind of photo that we made last week where we say, "Don't tell Mama." Cabaret extended till the 26th. So if you don't have a chance this weekend, try to come see it Friday, Saturday. We will leave you guys as we head out with our fun ALT Cabaret commercial. But we'll tune in next week when we'll talk more about everything going on at ALT. Thank you all very much. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to Amarillo Little Theater's production of Cabaret, starring many of our area's finest performers. Cabaret, February 3rd through the 20th at the ALT Adventure Space. Get tickets to Cabaret by calling the ALT box